As the dust settled in New York, snowflakes fell softly. A festive atmosphere gradually rose on the streets, in cafes, and at shopping malls. But, for Haley, this was just the beginning of her true test: how to piece together a life that had been shattered. The storm passed, and the villa returned at peace. Alexander and Haley finally stopped living in fear every day, but the emptiness left by the crisis made both of them feel a sense of discomfort. The relaxation after a long period of high tension often makes people suddenly lose their balance. That morning, Alexander was drinking coffee on the balcony when Haley, wrapped in a shawl, slowly emerged. Stretching, she quipped. Finally, we can sleep in like normal people, but we don't seem to be used to it. Alexander smiled bitterly, his eyes gentle. Haley leaned over to him and suddenly asked, do you think everything is too dull? Before, there were big things happening every day, but now it feels so empty. Alexander thought about it carefully and asked her, do you want an exciting life? No? Haley shook her head and sighed. I just felt free all of a sudden. I can't believe it's real. The two smiled at each other, but they both knew in their hearts, the adjustment in daily life is a more difficult test than the crisis. After lunch, Haley went to the cafe, alone, to see Tina. After not working for a few months, her old colleagues were very welcoming to see her. Some whispered, others nodded from a distance. And everyone's eyes no longer held in hostility. Tina took her to a corner and sat her down. You're a celebrity now? She scoffed. Why don't you consider writing a book or starting a podcast? Oh, tell your story. I'm not that brave. Haley smiled and suddenly whispered, I'm actually very scared. I'm afraid that after the excitement is over, no one will remember who I am. Don't be silly. Tina clapped her hands. You are more complete than before. True courage, lessen the courage to start over, but some nights I still have nightmares about Richard, the nightclub, and the media footage. The nightmare will pass, Tina comforted. What's important is that when you wake up, there are people who love you waiting for you. The two looked at each other and smiled, and at that moment, Haley truly understood the life she wanted. Back at the villa, Linda was busy preparing dinner in the kitchen. Frost froze the kitchen windows. As she hummed a tune, her mood noticeably more relaxed. Where have you been? Linda asked. I chatted with Tina for a while. It seems that everyone is getting better. Linda nodded. You young people have a limitless future. The sufferings of the past will eventually be diluted by new happiness, but I'm still worried that some wounds, no matter how healed, will leave scars. Scars are part of you, Linda smiled, but now you've learned to appreciate every aspect of yourself. After dinner, Alexander and Haley helped organize their study. This room had witnessed countless arguments, tears, and secrets. Now that the dust had settled, they decided to transform it into a own little studio. Half of it would be Alexander's desk, the other half would be Haley's easel and journal. While moving things, the two of them had little arguments from time to time. Haley insisted on putting the easel by the window, while Alexander thought the desk should be closer to the door. You always like to arrange things according to your own ideas. Alexander pretended to be dissatisfied. That's because you like to be in control too much, Haley retorted, but couldn't help laughing. The two of them argued back and forth, but in the end neither could fully convince the other. Finally, Linda came in and acted as the referee. Getting both of them to make concessions, the easel was moved to the east window, and the desk was moved closer to the south wall. You guys are becoming more and more like a family, Linda said with a smile. This little quarrel helped both of them relax. It turns out that true happiness isn't about peace and stability without any disturbances, but about being obliged, argue with the one you love, and then make up as before. Late at night, Alexander and Haley were watching the snow on the balcony. Side by side, they talked about the future. Haley suddenly asked, do you regret involving in your life? Alexander shook his head seriously. My only regret is not cherishing you sooner. I have regrets, too, but if it weren't for that storm, perhaps he would have always been just an ordinary waitress, never knowing that I could choose my own life. What do you want to do now? Alexander asked softly. I want to write about my experiences in the nightclub, and write it for those girls who are still struggling. Haley's eyes brightened. I also want to travel with you to places that only appear in dreams. Okay, let's go together. In the wind and snow, the two people's vows were simple but firm. Before going to bed, Haley wrote in her diary again, life always brings new challenges and trials. After every storm, we must move forward. I am grateful for the hardships of the past and the warmth of the present. I hope I can always be firm, flexible, and brave. When she finished, she walked into the bedroom and saw Alexander waiting for her. She smiled and threw herself into his arms. We all have to move on, together forever, Alexander whispered in her ear. The night is gentle, the lights in the house are warm yellow. Outside the window, the snow has not stopped, and a new story is quietly brewing.
Follow us There's much more great content.